One of the most successful ways of landing job interviews is networking.
Talking to other
You got to
people.
talk to other people. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Almost Real, an honest talk between two friends. My name is Josh. I'm joined by Camila, my lovely co-star, co-host, co-conspirator, co-captain, co
Ahoy.
Ahoy hoy. Today we are very excited to talk about resumes and job searching and how to find and land that job. This is probably going to be a part of a larger series. We'll see how it goes. But this is the first day, and today we're going to talk about resumes. But before we get into it, Camilla, you have some sort of secret question you wanted to
Yes.
ask me. Some sort of you wrote it on the paper, secret question I will not tell you. Ha 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 ha. You're going to be
I did not
embarrassed.
write. I did not write. Ha 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 ha. I just wrote that it's a secret question.
It was I read the subtext. I read the
Sure.
subtext.
Sure. So the question is, Josh,
The question
have
is,
you have you ever howled at the moon?
have I ever howled at the moon? No, I don't think so. I don't think I ever have. Have I shouted at the moon? Have I yelled into the dark abyss of endless space? Yeah, of course. Every day of my
What did you
life.
shout?
What did I shout? Probably like a ah.
Way into the darkness.
Is it's sometimes it's very cathartic to just let your voice echo out into nothingness, right? You just want it to echo out into nothingness. I don't know, I'm probably too buttoned up and too tightly strung to howl at the moon. But yelling some frustrations quietly, not yelling, more like muttering frustrations into the endless starry sky. Yeah, yeah, that's what I sound like. I sound like a crinkly bag of crisps, as you would
Yes.
say, of chips. That's what I sound like. However, Camilla, I have to uno reverso. Have you ever howled at the moon?
I think just for fun, I did a few times. Not super loud, but I did.
Well, is it really howling if it's not super loud?
Was not like a proper howl. I was not like out in the
Was
woods
this in
looking
like a
at
bunch of flats where you just
No,
howling out
from
your
from
window?
my house, from my
Oh, from
house.
your
And
house.
I mean, it's not really like that loud. I don't want to interrupt the sleep of my neighbors.
See,
Um,
very similar. Like, I don't want to cause
yeah.
a scene. Even if I was in the forest in the middle of nowhere, I'd be like, I don't know. Also, I don't want undue attention on
Yeah.
myself. What if there are predators? What if there
Yeah.
are a big owl comes and scoops me up? We've never considered
With its
that.
claws. It went into a weird direction. I'm pretty
Direction was
sure
up.
owls would not be able to carry neither you nor me. So we're
It
safe.
depends if they were big enough. And you'd never hear them coming because they fly silently.
Scary. Speaking of scary things, looking for jobs is hard, and we're here
Yes.
to help.
Yes.
Shall we share some
Are we and
first?
like what our
Yes.
qualifications are? Yeah.
Why we know about that?
Why do we know about it? Well, we're people in the world is I think the
Yes.
biggest thing, and we have done job searching before. So that's just sort of the baseline there. But the other thing is I currently work as a facilitator for a youth employment skills program here in Canada. And basically what that does and what that means is I help youth, which the government defines as 16 to 30. So if you are 30, congratulations on still being a youth. If you're 31, congratulations on being elderly.
A
Citizen.
senior
A
citizen.
senior in the eyes of the government. So I help youth apply for jobs, find out the right job for them, what they're interested in, what maybe schooling or education they need, help them with their career planning, their job searching skills, how to build a resume, how to write a cover letter, right? How to go on an interview. So that's sort of my job right now and what I've been doing for the past almost year. So I've been networking and talking with a lot of people and learning a bunch of stuff. So that's sort of where I'm at, and that's why I feel confident speaking about these certain things. I
What
talk about
makes
this stuff.
me? Why can I speak about it? Well,
Yeah.
first of all, I moved to the UK 5 years ago. With I did have permission to work. because my husband got a job and I was looking for one. So I was looking for a job in a new place with basically no friends and no family, on a completely new market for me. So that quest I have passed. It was not easy and it's very hard, but I kind of know a few steps now. And also recently, for about a year or so, I've been helping other people look for jobs, reach out to people, and figure out what to do to get their dream jobs. And also helping them not only get a job, but also get a visa sponsorship for that. Because in the UK, you gotta have, there are some, you can't just come to the country. You can't get a visa and come to the country and look for a job. You actually have to find a job first, and only then you're allowed to come, unless you're on a global talent path. But it's not a very easy one. So yeah, that's why I know a little bit about that, and I would love to share everything I know and I've learned through all the messages that I've sent on LinkedIn and all the resumes I've seen and all the job descriptions I've read.
Oh
God.
boy. Oh boy,
Yeah.
oh
Oh yeah.
boy. Well, let's get into it then, maybe, Camilla. Let's get into it. And I think the first thing we want to talk about is structuring your resume, why it's important to structure your resume, how to structure your resume, and what that looks like. Very exciting stuff. One thing I want to talk about that we didn't have on our list was the 1/3 rule or the 5-second rule. Have you heard about this? Do you know what this is?
Not really. Go on.
No? Um,
Elaborate on that, please.
I'll elaborate. It's saying you want to keep the most important, most pertinent, the most, let's just say those two. I don't have a third word, but the most important, the most pertinent information in the top 1/3 of your resume. You want it to be
Mm.
easily scannable as well because hiring managers, employers, they don't spend a lot of time looking at a resume. They don't have a lot of time to spend looking at a resume. So make sure that your most important information is in the top 1/3 and can quickly be scanned. And what, of course, is your most important information that should be in the top 1/3? It's your contact information, it's your
Yay!
profile or summary, and your skills.
But no picture.
No picture. We'll get into that, the do's
Oh
and
yeah.
don'ts of resumes a little bit
I'm
later.
just I'm just throwing so many spoilers.
It's called
It's
foreshadowing,
insane.
Camilla. It's called
Ah,
foreshadowing. So yeah, that's something I wanted to talk about and mention a little bit before, and also why we suggest structuring your resume in this sort of way because you're keeping your most important information at the top. You're keeping it easily scannable. It's also very important for applicant tracking systems, which we'll get more into a little bit later. Yeah. So contact information, profile summary, your skills, top three. One, two, three. Most important things. What comes after that, Camilla?
and then you just want to list all your work experience from the most recent one, going further in your history, but the most relevant one. You don't want to include everything. You don't necessarily have to. And after your work experience, yeah, so you list it this way. So you add the company, the time you've spent there, the job title you had, and then in about a few, ideally 3 bullet points, you describe what you have achieved there,
Hmm.
what you
Hmm.
did there. That
Hmm.
would be really nice. People love numbers.
Yes.
They just adore them. So if you put, and also ATS, applicant tracking systems, love them as well. So
Yes.
if you can add numbers, do it. If they're approximate, that's also fine. You don't
Yes.
ha Nobody's gonna check that. Nobody
Mm-mm.
knows that. Also, if you don't have numbers,
Best
try to
guess. Best
guess. Yeah,
guess.
best
Yeah.
guess and add
So
it.
I'm a big fan of never lie on your resume. That's fraud.
Yeah.
But you can be, I want to say creative with the truth. That's also, don't do that. But you can be approximate with the things
Yeah.
that you're saying. You don't have to
Yeah, you don't
be
have to be precise.
exact.
Yeah.
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 So let's say, you worked at a store as a retail specialist and you interact with customers and you want to write that on your resume. You might say something like, responsible for handling customer interactions, receiving a 90% satisfaction rate.
Yep.
ATSs love numbers.
Yes.
There's a template that I like to use and one that I like to teach for
Mm-hmm.
writing your work experience. Also great for cover letters and interviews. It's called the SAR method, situation action result.
Okay.
There's also the STAR, which is situation, task, action, result. So I like SAR because it's a little bit shorter. So the SAR method is the situation. What were you doing? What were the actions that you took? Usually 2 to 3 actions. 1 to 3, I should say. 1 to 3 actions. And then what was the result of it? Results are
Hmm.
so important. If you don't have results, you're not backing up that you are able to do those skills,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I that's what I see. That's what I see most on resumes when
Mm.
I'm looking at them, when I'm reviewing them, when I'm helping rewrite them, is I do not see results. In the when they're rating their work experience, I also don't see results. No, I see they get jobs, they get employed.
Oh, also another thing I wanted to mention.
Yes, please.
You can change your job title
Yeah,
a little bit.
absolutely.
Like if you were a marketer, you can add that like I was a did if you're applying for a digital marketing role and they are so just change the role name in accordance to the one you're applying to. If it's
If it's
if
similar.
yeah, if it's not completely if you were I don't know, a C I'm not CEO,
If
a
you were a
CTO,
CEO,
but
yeah,
yeah,
no,
if
go
you
CEO and you wanted to work at retail. Yeah, yeah. You probably wouldn't
if
write CEO, you wouldn't write retail
like
manager when
yeah,
you
I
were
don't know
talking
if you
about.
yeah if you were an actor and now you're applying to become a chef at a restaurant, yeah, there's like don't like hey I've done that here while
I
I was
played a
working at the
chef
theater.
once.
Yeah, like
I was a
just
chef on stage.
I was a chef once. I was
Yeah.
playing the chef.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I was
anyway, yeah,
chef number 3 in the
you can change
background.
the job title, and that's actually important because ATS is also scan that, and people, recruiters love to see that you have been or that you have already been employed into a similar position.
Yeah.
Unless I assume it's like a junior, a complete junior, a beginner role, then they would not necessarily want you to have it this type. Although volunteering experience might
Yeah,
also be very useful, and you can give a title there depending on the
absolutely.
role you're applying
I would
to.
I would suggest, and that's the next thing after your work experience, you want to have
Yes.
your volunteer section. When you put your
Yes.
volunteering on there, don't write volunteer, then the place you volunteered at. We know you volunteered
No.
there. It's in the volunteer
Yeah.
section. Give yourself a job title.
Yeah.
Even if they don't give you a job title, give yourself a job title
Yes. And
because it
also,
just looks so much better. It just looks so much better.
if it's more relevant to the
Mhm.
job you're applying to now, and if it's the most recent experience you had, like for example, you were a student and you were volunteering all the time, and that's mostly the job you had, that's fine. Just
Yeah.
write, add it to your work experience. You don't necessarily
Yes.
have to point it out like volunteering. No, no, no. It's just yeah, post it. It is a proper
If
job experience.
Yep.
You can add it there. People look at this. That's important. So,
100%. I put it, I've put things down that I volunteered as for sure as work experience. I still have some things, projects that I've worked on that I didn't necessarily get paid for, or they were, just things I were interested in myself. I put that under work experience because I worked, right?
hmm.
Your volunteering is working. Yes, so if you're struggling to fill up your work experience section or to find relevant things, go volunteer somewhere, right? Get a
Yes.
little bit of experience, throw that on your resume. It is super, super helpful. Super,
Hmm.
super helpful.
Or
Um,
like if you're changing fields, it might also be very
yeah.
helpful.
Or if you have no work experience, right? If
Yes.
you're I have youth that I work with who have never had a job before, and they go,
Yeah.
every job needs experience. How do I get experience if I've never worked? And I say volunteer. That's how you do it. That's
Mm-hmm.
honestly, and I sometimes we're put in a situation where we can't do that because maybe financial needs need to be met. But if you can afford it and you're desperate to find a job, volunteer, get that on your resume. That will ladder you into paid work. And often
Mm-hmm.
the places you volunteer, they may be hiring and they know you.
Yeah. And networking.
And
So
networking,
they
which
might know other people
will
hiring.
we've got a lot to talk about networking in
Oh
the
yeah.
future there for sure.
Oh yeah.
So after your volunteer experience, then you have your education,
Education. Yep.
most recent to least recent. That's the way
The
reverse chronological
oldest.
style.
Yep.
And then underneath that, any certifications that you may have. You can, if it's linked to or related to the job you're applying for, maybe have like any like clubs or groups that you're a part of or hobbies if it can
Mm-hmm.
you can relate it to that, but you generally don't need those there. And one thing we're gonna transition a little bit into the do's and don'ts of resumes because I
What
want
to
to start off
include
with
and what
this.
not to. Yep.
The one thing I don't see it as often anymore, but when I see it, it still makes me go, ugh, is people who put on their resume references available upon request.
Actually, yeah, I
That
didn't know. Yeah.
out. Do you do that, Camilla?
No, no, no. But I didn't have like a strong opinion about that because all my clients never had those, and I personally only gave references only upon request.
Yes, it's
But yeah,
implied that of course, you will give It's like saying on your resume, "I'm open to interview for this job." We know you're applying for it. You're interested in the job. You will interview for it. You don't have to, and please don't put references upon request in your resume. That is how hiring works. They're going to ask to see your references later on anyway. Don't don't include your references on your resume. I had a participant who before he was in our program, he had put his references on his resume and was quick applying on Indeed, and he had listed their phone numbers. And he was talking to one of them, and the guy was saying, I was just getting so many spam calls that I had to change my number. And he's like, "Oh no, was that because of me? Because I was just throwing that information out there." So,
yeah, yeah. Now information leaks so
yeah.
easily
So
into the hands
be
of people
cautious,
who
be
can use
aware.
it. Yeah.
But
Another no is a
another no.
picture.
Pictures, don't put your picture up.
And another huge no is your age,
Yep.
race, or any other sort of social demographics that you can add, which gender you are. You don't have to say
Religion.
it.
Yeah.
You don't have to put all your contact information, just city and the country.
Yep.
And my tip, add the city where you are looking for a job.
Yeah.
So if you are in a different city, but you want to relocate, just add the city where you want to go to. And just to sum it all up about the no's, no picture, no race, no age, no social demographic stats that you can
Mm-hmm.
include, nothing,
Mm-hmm.
no gender,
No social insurance
address,
number.
just no, yeah, no social, no, yeah, just your city, the country, your phone number,
Mm-hmm.
because they might want to call you.
Email address is good to
Name,
have.
yeah, name and surname. Ideally, you want to have a phone number of the country where you're applying to as well. So if you're living in a different country and you want to relocate, you should. There are different ways of getting a phone number of a UK, for example, and that you can use in the resumes and get calls, and they won't cost a lot of money.
And things like that. There's online websites and things and online portals and stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so there are ways. And yeah, out of the big no's, I think there is nothing really
Well,
more.
a big thing to also be aware of, all those things we talked about with gender, sexual orientation,
Oh yeah.
age,
If you're
uh,
married or not married,
married, not
no.
married, all that stuff.
Kids,
It's a
no.
you don't want to put it on there. And it's also, I don't know about the UK. I'm assuming it's pretty similar to Canada, but those are also illegal questions to be asked in an interview. You do not have to
Yes.
supply that information.
Yep. So you can actually ask
Yeah.
the person who raised that question if they legally can ask you that question because they
You,
can't.
yeah. Well, you don't have to ask them, "Hey, do you know or that you can't do that?" You
Yeah,
can.
by the way,
You can bring it
but you're
for
breaking the law.
sure. And
You're breaking the law.
I would assume ignorance rather than malicious intent, but yeah, knowing your rights as well is super important. Knowing your
Yes.
rights as well is super important. So that's sort of the breakdown. So for structure wise, keep to that 1/3 rule, keep to that 5-second rule. Most important information. Start with your contacts, do your profile, do your skills, then your work experience, volunteer experience, education, all in reverse chronological order, then your certifications at the bottom. And that's it. And then congratulations, you get a job just like that. Bam. Wow. We're employed. We love it.
Bum 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 bum. Sadly,
Yes.
no, Josh.
Yeah.
Well,
The more
on
you know.
somewhere over the rainbow, probably, yeah. But sadly,
Always.
here on Earth, no. So, one last thing I thought we should mention about the resume is Try to keep it short.
Yes. One to two
Yeah. So
pages,
yeah.
2 pages maximum.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of controversial opinions about that out there in the in the world, but I'd rather keep it short because people don't have time. I mean,
Yeah.
you can add a lot of information, but it might just get lost among the other information you've provided, and it is great. You can give all that information a bit later on first of all on later stages of the interview or in your cover letter. There
Yeah.
are different ways of showing what you have and showing what you can and showing what you do. But here, just try to keep it short. The shorter, the better.
Yeah, a big thing is making sure that your resume is tailored. And I think a lot of the time when we have really, really long resumes, we're not tailoring them specifically to the job posting, right? We are trying to make ourselves sound as amazing and great as possible, and we are amazing and great, and we would kill this job. We would be so, so good at it. But if we tailor and we're more specific and we cut the things that don't help us or don't serve us into getting that job, right? If you were going to be a cook and you were an actor before, unless you have relevant transferable skills, which of course like communication and things like those would all be very transferable and you could put that on there. But if it's not relevant and you have more relevant experience or more relevant skills that fit with the job description or what you would be doing in that role, put those in above just padding your resume, right? Getting it crisp and smooth and throwing it in there. That's what you want. These aren't CVs, right?
Yeah.
Their resumes are highly tailored, ultra specific for each and every role that you are applying for. Gotta make a new
Yep.
resume. Sucks, but you gotta.
Well, and also speaking of bad things,
Oh no! Job
yeah,
searching itself
ATS.
is
Oh
awful.
no, no, not yet. ATSs, so that you need to
Oh,
be aware
applicant
of.
tracking systems. Yeah, 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 yeah. Application
Because,
tracking systems.
yeah, well, first things first, don't get offended by a no, but
Be
sometimes you get
offended
an
by a yes.
be
No.
offended by an immediate no. No, so sometimes you might get a response really quickly,
Yeah.
like, and that would mean that you have not passed an applicant tracking system.
Yeah.
That was just a computer who said no to you. How to pass that stage?
Ooh, these are
There are
great
different
questions.
ways.
Yes.
There are different ways. I love Job Scanner
Hmm.
because it helps you. You just take the job description, take your resume, you put one into one, filter the other into the other, and it tells you how good of a match it is. And you want to get 80% or higher.
Yes.
And it also helps you with like keywords that you should probably add or change because sometimes people are just using different vocabulary. And it might be, you might mean the same thing, but say it differently. And that's very frustrating because sadly, people don't have time to get into that. They just look at the words that they have already added into the description of the job. But you can trick that by knowing these words and changing your resume to that, to match that.
So applicant tracking system, yeah, using sites like that, like Job Scanner, super helpful. Super, super
Yes.
helpful getting that score. LLMs, ChatGPT, services like that, you can have them look through your resume. If you're going
Yes.
to do that, get rid of your personal information because you don't want to have that out there for other companies to just be pilfering. As much as you can, try to avoid putting your personal information on the internet.
It would still be there. You're applying to, I mean, it's also like,
I know, but it's like you do your
but you
best to
gotta,
try
you
and
gotta
protect
also,
yourself.
yeah, but you gotta understand that it's gonna be out there while you're applying for all those jobs. It's gonna be out there, guys. Just deal with it.
No,
Just,
Camilla's very fatalistic about it. I'm
you
holding
can't,
on
I mean,
hope. I'm the last bastion of
yeah, you're the person who
privacy.
says no and only necessary cookies.
Yeah, of course. Do you
Sure
click
thing.
accept all?
At some point when I'm super tired, yes, I do. I was like,
That's so
it's this is tired.
bad.
All the
It's
information has already been leaked. It's out there.
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have
All
to
right,
be, but
on our
it's
next
already there.
podcast, Internet Safety and Camilla, we're going to be exploring cybersecurity. We'll be bringing on a professional to talk about how you can protect. Yeah, yeah. This is an after-school special now.
Speaking of LLMs, I prefer Gemini to ChatGPT.
Oh,
Or,
interesting.
yeah, I found it a bit more adequate.
If you're looking for writing, I think Claude is some of the most
Yes.
human sounding.
Yeah, it is kind of the best. Yeah.
Yeah. So for writing your like job descriptions, work experience, things like that, I'd recommend Claude. But anything that you're fine with, big thing though, you're gonna have to edit whatever is spewed out by.
Yes.
You
And just
can't.
read it thoroughly
Yes, it'll
before
lie.
you submit it anywhere.
It'll
Yeah.
make up qualifications and things that you've never done. You have to double check. You have to rewrite it so it sounds more human.
But also sometimes it just doesn't get what you want from it.
Yep.
And it might start, you just might want to start over and kind of rephrase your question or request because it is a useful tool, but you gotta also phrase your task in a way that it would understand properly what you want from it. So if it starts lying about your experience, well, not lying, but like adding relevant experience as you asked it to,
Yeah.
but that's not yours, just add a little bit like, but it should be only the experience that I have provided in the CV, in the resume or CV, whatever you're given to
Yes.
that LLM that I have just provided. That is important because it's for people, it's you would know this without saying, but an LLM is not a person. It's just an
No.
algorithm that knows which words are like closer to each other most
Good
of
at
all.
linking words, does not
Yes.
understand concepts.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's wild what they've been able to do in the last 3, 4 years of working with this kind of stuff, but it is not smart, intelligent in any way. It's not, we call it AI, it's not intelligence. It's good guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
doesn't know
mainly.
what you're saying. Don't use Chat GPT for therapy, is what I'm trying to say. A lot of people are using it for therapy these days. Don't do that.
Yeah.
It'll just tell you what you want to hear. It's designed, it's biased towards favoring the
Yeah.
prompter. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're getting a little off topic, so getting back on track. What's next? What's the next thing we need to talk about, Camilla? We've talked about
So, oh
resume
yeah, we kind
structure
of
and do's
we
and
kind of covered
don'ts
that.
and
It's an annoying
ATS.
question. It's an annoying thing which I think we should point out a bit more. Do you really need to tailor all your resumes?
Yes, I'm
It's
so
a
sorry.
it's the sad tr although there are some tricks. Okay, I'll share some tricks. When
Okay,
you're
we always got tricks. Yeah.
super tired, you can make like drafts for different roles that you usually apply for, like business development manager, marketing manager, and I don't know, digital marketing manager. And you will have three drafts of a resume for this type of roles. And you can send those tailored to those jobs resumes to the job you found and you want to apply to, but you really don't have time. Or you are just, it is
Yeah,
very
it's
tiring. Like,
fatiguing. It's a
yeah, it's just
full-time work.
so that everyone understands it is a full-time job looking for a job. And it is very frustrating because we're people, we want to get at least one yes. But when you are applying online, it is like the percentage is shocking and it's not reliable.
Mm,
So like uh, Josh, I think you can tell about that. But like if you
yeah,
apply to 100 roles, you might get two interviews, but
maybe.
that's not like you we can't promise that. Like it's very unreliable.
Well, and here's the thing, like sure, clicking on the easy apply on Indeed or LinkedIn or whatever is easy, right? You click a few buttons, I've set my job application out. So it's so easy that everyone's going to do it, and you're going to get hundreds of people just applying for jobs. Also, very easy for scammers to just throw that to get your personal information and start making scam calls and
Yeah.
try to weasel money out of you. So the big thing, though, in regards to that, yeah, easy apply job postings online, just in general, even through company websites, such a low success rate for interviewing because it's so accessible, because it's so easy. I believe the most recent numbers I have are 2 to 6%.
Yeah.
That's a 2 to 6% success rate, meaning that you will get a job about 2% of the time. Like Camilla was saying, 100 resumes
Mm.
are sent out. You might get two interviews. So if you're not sending out say 50 resumes a week, you're not getting
Yeah.
an interview. And 50 resumes tailored specific to each role because you're also competing with everyone else, ATS compliant, that you've done the research, you've keyed in all the keywords, you've made it all like this, and even using LLMs and all these other tools, it still takes time. Figure
Yes.
20 minutes per resume, spending 1,000 minutes. I don't even know what that is in hours because math is hard. A lot. Spending a ton of time, hours and hours and hours, just to maybe get an interview.
Yeah.
I'm I'm a big proponent of being lazy. I'm just a lazy
Mhm.
guy. I like to keep things as easy for me as possible, and I know that applying online is not the most successful. The most successful, of course, is networking.
Networking.
Networking with I believe, a 60% success rate of networking and
Yeah.
finding getting job interviews.
Only one thing I wanted to mention, because we're going to move to networking now, moving away from online applications. Try to apply the moment you've seen the job. So that's
Yeah,
ideal.
be the
So
first
like,
person.
yeah, it's been posted when you are one of the first people who has sent them their resumes. There might be a chance they'll look at it. If it's been there for 3 weeks, you can still do that,
Yeah, absolutely.
but
But
very doubtful. Probably they're just already on another stage of interviewing people, and they're just keeping it just in case they won't find anybody. Another useful thing is that people repost the jobs quite often, and that means that they haven't found anybody in the first round. Watch out for that. So, like if the job that you wanted to apply to closed, doesn't necessarily mean that it has actually been closed. Have a look at the company's profile on LinkedIn or on their website. They might have it reposted or reopened again, and
I,
apply there. Be
I
the
have
first.
another little tip as well. This is more interview. If you got an interview and it went really well, but for whatever reason you didn't get the job, maybe the company said, "Hey, you just didn't have enough experience, or we found another candidate. We'd really like to keep you in mind for the future." Something like that, or you even just felt the interview went well. Wait 3 months and then message that company again. One in
Ooh.
five people leave a job within the first 3 months. 20% of people leave a job within the first 3 months. So if you reach out in that window where someone's just left, the hiring managers, employers, they don't want to go through the hiring process. It sucks for them too. It's a
And it
ton of
costs a lot
work,
of
it's
money.
expensive.
Yeah.
So if they had a client who they already saw and they already met with, reaching out to them, it could just be the perfect storm for you to be like, "Oh yeah, just come on in. We'll meet you again," or "Yeah, let's talk about it." Right? So if you've applied for a job, you've gotten an interview, I think mostly if you've gotten an interview, 3 months later, if you didn't get it, send out a follow-up email, give them a call, just be like, "Hey, I'm just wondering if there's any open positions." And 20% of the time,
Yeah.
statistically, there'll
Yeah.
be an open position. And that comes from employers often want to hire the best candidate, the person who looks the best, who has the best credentials, who's the most employable. But the most employable person is the most employable everywhere. So if they see a better offer somewhere else, they're going to go somewhere else. The best and most employable person often isn't the most loyal person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 1 in 5. So that's a little tip, trick too.
So in this episode, we've discussed the best strategies to outline your resume, things to include, not to include, yes and no parts, some tips and tricks about ATS systems, what to
Yeah.
use. And we discussed that all online applications are great, but the success rate is extremely low. So, in the next episode, we wanted to discuss other ways that might help you at a higher success rate
Hmm.
and land a job.
Yeah.
And mainly it's going to be networking, but there might be some other things that you have missed or haven't thought of. And we will
Yes.
share them that we've used. And thank you very much for listening. We've been Almost Real, an honest talk between two friends where we just share and trying to help us and you navigate through this life.
That's
And
true.
with our first episodes covering job search and job hunting.
Yeah. Really want to help people out there find work, look for work, and make the sort of job searching experience more positive because we're seeing a lot of negativity around
Yeah.
that lately.
You're not alone.
You're
We're with
not
you.
alone. And if you want to continue to not be alone, we do have other episodes and other content. You can find us at Almost Real
On
on
Substack.
Instagram and YouTube. We are also, you can email us at almostreal@gmail.com. And we also have a Substack, which I believe is almostreal.substack.com, where you can find more episodes, blog posts, all sorts of fun stuff there. So check us out. Thank you again, thank you all again so much for listening. If you want to leave a little review, a little rating, that we'd love that. We'd love to hear from you. And you know what? Comment, what are your job searching tips? What do you do? What has been successful for you? We're always looking for more resources, more things that we can pass on to the people that we work with and to our listeners like yourself. So
And send
thank
us
you
your
all.
resumes.
Send us your, yeah,
We
maybe
might we might make a lottery and actually,
review a resume. Yeah,
yeah, give some tips and tricks to that can be used based on an
absolutely.
actual resume.
Yeah. Maybe we'll throw up a little quick how-to guide on our Substack as well. We could also do that.
Hmm.
All right. Well, thank you everyone so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you all again in the near future.
Bye bye.